So I think Lynette here is being a little controversial. Christ alone saves, so no salvation prayer saves us. You better disciple that, Lynette. I'm not sure who she is, but
no. She's throwing that in there.
Yeah, being controversial. Crystal has another good question. How much do we need to know in order to be saved? So I think those two are kind of somewhat related, or at least I would take a similar tack in answering those. Like, we're not saying you don't pray to the Lord to receive these things, but we are saying you don't trust the prayer. It's the prayer is just the means that God uses, the way, and it really doesn't. There is no magic code word to say that gets this to you. So yeah, you do pray, whether it's out loud or quiet or in your heart, or you just suddenly realize you're believing these things and you shout out, "Yes, Lord, I believe." Whatever it is. I'll cautiously say it can take, within a range, it can take many forms. There's not a magic code word. We like to see those in the tracks to make sure people get it right, but sometimes we can almost wrongly put our trust in, did you say the right magic phrase, or did you raise your hand? And it can lead people to this sort of mentality, and we've probably all run into it of well, I'm not sure if I'm saved, so I pray the magic prayer almost every night, or every time the pastor preaches, I raise my hand because I wasn't sure, or leaders tell people, well, you're saved because you walked down the aisle. Well, it doesn't matter whether you walk down the aisle; it's who you trusted in. Right. I think there are times where that is appropriate response, but are you trusting in the fact that you were vocal, or are you trusting in the person of Christ? That's what the issue comes down to, and I think that's the issue to Crystal's question too. Like, how much do I need to know in order to be saved? I think you're trusting in the person, and so it's not. Look, there are elements of knowledge that you need. You need to know that he died on the cross. You need to know that he's the Son of God. You need to know that you're trusting in the true God. You confess that Jesus is Lord. Do you have to understand the inner workings of the Trinity? No. Like, can somebody that's truly saved, a young baby Christian, start articulating the Trinity wrong? Yeah. But I think then the question then is of discipleship, right? When you start to show them the truth, do they go out and become a heretic, like a modalist, or somebody that believes Jesus truly isn't God, and then reject the truth? Or do they respond and, oh wow, now I understand what John is saying in John 1:1, that Jesus is an eternal person. Okay, I knew I was trusting Christ when I got saved, but you don't have to understand all of the knowledge that comes with it, but I think there is a growth process. The true believer will grow into that, not grow into some false doctrine. But what it really comes down to is, who is the object, who is the person that you are trusting in? And I think that answer kind of answers both Lynette and Crystal's question.
So if you're witnessing to someone on the street, you don't have to throw all of this at them.
Are you kidding? I carry my 4 volumes of Bovink with me, so that
got a big book bag, bro. Beast.
Here, read this.
Have you been to my office lately? No, I think that's a good point. Look, you don't say anything that's not true. Obviously, you don't try to dumb it down in a way that actually waters it down and takes away from who Christ is. But you certainly don't have to explain. And I think one of the dangers is, well, I think 2 dangers are, one, we want to sometimes, and this is me talking, we want to load all of our theology into it, and I give long answers, and it can distract from the point. I think sometimes, and I think that's the second issue, we need to be careful that we don't distract from the issue. So for example, somebody that you're witnessing to, and they want to get into issues of creationism, and sometimes it's a stall tactic, sometimes it's a delay tactic. The issue is, for salvation, the issue is, who is Christ? There are some things, I think the resurrection, that he's truly God, that he's Lord, that you're confessing that he died on the cross, And if they are asking theological questions, deeper ones, and there's a sincerity there, yeah, then you start to answer them. I don't think you shy away. But if I could say it this way, it's like keep your eyes on the prize, keep your head in the game. Don't overload theology. You don't have to share everything. I don't think a person, theologians spend their entire lives trying to wrestle with the Trinity and be careful in their articulation. You don't have to say everything about the Trinity in one evangelistic conversation.
Yeah. What I tell people is that your theology is it's almost it works so that you can evangelize properly and meaningfully. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you got to throw out all this theology at people who you're evangelizing to. Your theology is driving you to evangelize and to evangelize correctly. That's why we work very hard at Christ Alone to be theological and biblical, because if we're working hard at that, we'll see that the gospel is essential, and we want to get the gospel right, and we want to see people come to Christ. And so that's a good combination of meaningful evangelism. You know what I'm saying? And so your theology is not to throw it at people. It's so that it drives you to people.
Yeah.
So speaking of long answers and short answers, Rachel said it very succinctly and very well put. You're saved by who you know, not what you know. And I think that's right on point there.